Hi, everybody. This is Nancy with That Man Jesus. I'm pleased to bring you another episode with my friend and frequent guest. This is Kim Barnes, a financial professional, and she is here to talk with us about starting a business. So I realized that we kind of had to work with reverse engineering because we were jumping around a little bit. We were talking about scaling and um, kind of in the middle stages of business development. I'm like, let's just go back to all the way back to the beginning. So for more context, feel free to take a look at my blog this week on the thatmanjesus.com website. And without further ado, I will let Kim go ahead and further introduce herself.
Well, hello. Always nice to be here as usual. And yes, financial professional I am. We do a lot of work in the community with offering, and we're talking about starting a business. We actually offer the opportunity to get into business for yourself. And we say not for yourself, not you're for yourself, but not by yourself. So that's one way to start a business as we're going to go into this. But yeah, and I love coming on to this podcast and we kind of talk about all these different subjects. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about myself because I introduce myself every week.
Yeah, it's at some point I'm gonna have you stop introducing yourself because now at this point you're a friend of myself in the podcast at this point.
yeah, and I know it's not, new people join, so we want to say who we are.
Yes,
but yeah, and I like to get into the conversation that we're talking about. So, but yeah, I love what I do. We help people. The main thing that we do is to give financial education, and that's what's missing in our communities. But yeah, but talking about the subject tonight, like you said, doing that reverse engineering and going back to the beginning of starting a business. I like the subject, and I can speak from the side of trying to do it without doing it the right way and learning the hard way and all that. But yeah, I think it's a great subject you got going on. And the blog is really good. So you guys got to get out there and read it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I pretty much do all the writing for the blogs on my own. So tell us about how you because I'll start first. Like I came from an entrepreneurial background. That's just kind of what I saw my parents do growing up. Like even though they both had their own separate careers or professions, they always had some kind of a side hustle going. So I grew up at one point my parents were at a fair and they sold like fried chicken and hot dogs like on a pretty big scale. And so one of the first things that my dad got me as a child was some like large warehouse. I don't know if it was Sam's or, something along those lines or Costco. And he bought the candy in bulk for me to go around the neighborhood reselling. So we just kind of grew up in that type of environment. So it's just something that's always stayed with me and hasn't left. But when I really got into business for the first time, it was multi-level marketing. And that was like my first introduction. And then from there, I did real estate and insurance. So I had an 11-year career with that. So I've been in sales now for a while. But I will say, the good thing about the multi-level marketing is that you come in as a downline, your upline trains you into what you're supposed to do. You have someone that you can kind of ask questions to, get advice from. And then you have these weekly meetings, like most of the time it's set up with like a sales director. So you kind of have a lot of hand holding going on. They usually also have a lot of structured material and written resources for you to be able to go and, glean from that wisdom as well. So yeah, I will say that I got a lot of structure when I started out with sales part-time. So tell us about your experience. You don't have to get in specifics about the business, but I know you were saying that you didn't really have that mentorship. And I just kind of want to know what happened. What was the end result of your experience with, you're starting your business that way?
Well, that's kind of cool. I just learned something new about you.
Oh
I
yeah,
did.
I
I didn't
was.
know all those details. But yeah,
Mhm,
I didn't have that same background of the
mhm,
business. My parents were educators. Like, well, my dad was in
mhm,
sales,
mhm.
but he worked for Union Pacific Railroad. After being a teacher, he went into sales. But my mom
Okay.
and a lot of my family were in,
Mhm,
teachers and administrators. My mom was a
mhm,
principal and so forth. So I didn't have that example of entrepreneurship. I had the
mhm.
example of hard work.
Right.
But yeah, so honestly, as you were talking, I'm like, how did that bug hit me? I don't know. I think it was just always something in me that I wanted to do, like have my own thing, and the whole working for corporate never felt
Mhm,
it never felt like my space, right?
mhm,
So I did also start in network marketing, and I had a
mhm,
cousin who kind of got me into that, and my brother, and we would work together, and we were in um different arenas. And when I was married, my ex-husband, or my husband at the time, we worked at State Farm, and he's a State Farm agent. I think I mentioned that
mhm.
before.
Yes,
And
you
I
have.
worked in yeah, I worked in his office, and I've seen
Right.
his drive, as far as being an entrepreneur or business owner.
Mhm,
But still, even through that, I never thought that I would want to be necessarily. But as time went on, um, it just seemed like I wanted to do my own thing, and something within me felt like I could, but I didn't do great in network marketing because I'm more of an introvert. I wasn't one that went out and
mhm,
recruited people and and all those things. And I found that there was, like you said, the mentorship and the structure of how it's done
mhm,
and the meetings and things like that. But um, I was more in if it was a product that I liked, because I've sold candles and, you know,
mhm.
different products and things. That's what attracted me, wasn't like building a
Right,
team at the time. So,
right, right.
um, yeah, so I don't know how it did, but it fast forward past that, I got the bug. I didn't think I was a salesperson. And now that I understand that everything in life is a sale, it's different. And I've been
Mhm,
in sales now for the last 10 plus years, that I never expected I would be in, even to the point of making cold calls when I worked for
mhm,
American Express even. That was something I never saw myself doing and didn't know I had the talent. And so
mhm.
that turned me on to at least knowing that I could do it, even though I was more of an introverted type person. And I think we were talking prior to getting on here about, I was wondering, can I talk about this? Or should I talk about my failures in trying to start a business and doing it all the wrong way? Because I have a little company that I branded, is it
Mhm,
now, a few years ago. It was exciting. It was a new venture, and I spent a lot of money. I did brand
mhm.
it, but I learned a lot of what I don't want to do and how not to do things, as well as how to do things. Um, and I think you had even mentioned, one of those things is like when you want to get into starting a business, maybe do a little research in the
Yeah.
market. Also kind of look at what other people who are successful at doing what
Mhm,
you're looking at doing, and what did they do. And even
mhm.
more so, I think, is asking what would they not do. Because I
Right.
have a lot of that, but I can also learn from those who have been very successful at, um, specifically, if I'm thinking about the business that I was doing, that I still have, and I'll do it on a small scale. I learned that too, that it
Mhm.
no longer became fun when we were moving towards the larger scale of it. But it was a fun journey. But yeah, find someone who's already doing it, look at the market, and when it's a product, the pricing and all of those things go into play before you just start throwing money into it. So, uh,
Yes.
but yeah,
So it
go
sorry, I
ahead.
didn't
Yeah,
mean to cut you off.
no, honey,
I
go.
said it just sounds like you had ended up purchasing a lot of inventory that you ended up having to sit on.
Um, Kind of, yeah. And mine is a salsa business. I still have it. So it
Okay.
wasn't necessarily sitting on the inventory. It was a lot of throwing away the inventory because
Yeah.
we would either, there were events we would go to and we would make too much, and then we learned from
Mm.
that. And then we did have an offer to put the salsa in stores. And
Oh, that's
it was
exciting.
it really was. We were about this close to getting a big time restaurant that is nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what happened was, not all that happened, but as we got closer to actually being able to do these things, I realized that, first of all, I'm the main one making it, and I would have to give my recipe to a kitchen and,
Mm-hmm.
go into this large scale. And it just started not to be
It wasn't
as
fun
much
anymore.
fun. Yeah, that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the recipe that I have has been something that I've put out to my family, like I make for the
Mm-hmm.
family and give. I would want
Mm-hmm.
to leave it to my kids and whatever, what have you. So it just caused me, after spending a lot of money as well. I
Mm-hmm.
made a little, but not, I spent more than I made. So
Right.
it just made me understand that you can you can actually a business can fail by going too far too fast, as
Yeah.
much as you can with just not enough sales. So it would have been too far too fast. And I think for me, the way I see things, God's hand was in there. We were already at a kitchen, ready to
Mm-hmm.
sign the contract and give them my recipe and all of this. And then something came into play where I think it was a contract they were working on for a good long time. They got the deal right as
Mm-hmm.
ours was coming in. And as I looked back, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad we didn't do that. It just
Mm-hmm.
seemed like too much too fast. And it was not quite what I wanted this to be. I kind of wanted it a little bit smaller, maybe in some farmers
Mm-hmm.
markets or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's a matter of, if you're gonna jump into something, kind of do your research a little bit, and what seems just, oh, I can just make it and I'll just do it. And that's kind of how I was thinking at the time. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that whole like business plan and all
Yeah,
of
like
that.
the
I had a
systems in
partner.
place. Yeah.
Exactly. The system in play. Like I was just going with, hey, I know how to make it. People love it. They're buying it, so they're
Mm-hmm.
demanding it. And even locally, the demand started to be too much for me when I was doing it almost on a full-time basis. It was still starting to become a little overwhelming at times. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that wasn't even in stores. So when I had that in front of me, it was like, whoa, I think I need to take a step back. So yeah, you can go a little bit too fast too soon and not really
Mm-hmm.
having a plan and a system, like you said, that can slow you down. So I can tell you some things not to do, and then
Yeah.
find those people who can like you said, who's already done it, talk to them, have
Mm-hmm.
a mentor, that type thing. That's important. That's important.
Yeah, that's why I think the Bible is, and I have this in the blog that talks about do not despise small beginnings,
Hmm.
because I think, when you start small, you get to touch like every single aspect of the business firsthand. So you
Right.
learn how to do everything. And then as you get too busy, like with the sales and your production takes off, then you can train somebody else because you've already been doing that job. You kind of
Right.
can duplicate yourself multiple times at that point, because it's too big for you to do by yourself anymore. And you can start to scale, versus it's much harder to start big and then kind of shrink back than to
Mhm.
start small and to continue to build your business and increase.
That makes a lot of sense. And when you just touched on something, it reminded me, I'm
Mhm.
one who, you got to let go too and understand that
Mhm.
you can teach someone else to do what you're doing, so
Mhm.
you're not doing everything. And I'm one that's like, no, I got it. I'm going to do that. I got this. And they're like, what can I do to help? Hold
Nothing.
on, let me do this. So it's like, you got to let go, girl,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that
It's
was
very
hard for me.
delegation is
Mhm.
a good thing.
It is, and it's important, and knowing, when to actually let
Mhm.
go of that, because it's not that I can't tell somebody what to do. I can,
Mhm.
but it's that letting go of that feeling that you're the only one who can do it right. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I was. And I think that's part of my personality that I need to let go of sometimes is, and just in general, little things like doing the dishes. I got to load the dishwasher because I'm the only one who knows how to do it. You know what I mean? And it's not really true. It's
Right.
just let go, you know, and I'm working on that. So, but that's a part that I think you touched on that I would have done better. Cause like I said, I think some of that overwhelming feeling is because I was doing most of the work.
Yeah. 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 And I think sometimes you were saying your children, I don't know if your children helped you with it or not, but sometimes I think being an entrepreneur, it has to almost be, it's not just about the one person with the sales. It almost you bring the whole family in, because I know as a farmer's agent, I mean, my mom, she would help me come to the office. She helped me, stuff envelopes or, send out mailers, make calls. My brothers help. We've gone door to door, knocking on doors, marketing different businesses and things. And he kind of is like my little bodyguard. So big, but he's like 6'2", 6'3", he's a big, taller bodyguard. But yeah, it becomes a family affair. It's not just about this is my business. No, this is our business. We're doing this together. And you bring your family in, and then it's like you all celebrate in the hard work, but you also celebrate they're part of your success story as well. So it's just never about that one person. So that's why I was like, when I was asking you about you and your ex-husband with the State Farm business, I was asking you, like, were you all like really partners in the business? And you were like, no, not really. And you seemed to feel comfortable with that. So it's kind of, that was how the two of you set it up. But I think
I think at that time also, I didn't see myself. I would, like I said, I was very introverted in the, even though, I present very differently and others didn't see that in me, but I knew that was me. I didn't see myself as a salesperson. I'm not out there putting myself out there. And for the, it was like I played my role. I could sell, but it was, I am his, one of his staff is kind of how I felt. He's running this and that's what he likes to do. So I let him go in his lane and I go in my lane. But like I said, and that was when I was a lot younger as well, and not as much confidence in my skills. So I think that's a part of why it wasn't more of a partnership. Whereas if the me today was in the same position with, could be that husband or a relationship where we're both doing this, it would be more together. But, that was kind of playing the role that I felt that I could be at least a little comfortable in. So I was comfortable with him telling, hey, what do you need done? I can do it. I'm always a hard worker, but running things at the time, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, I got you. So let's fast forward. So we talked about starting a new business and how do you do that? Was the salsa business, was that something that you were already doing at home, and you was like, hey, I can monetize this, and you had like friends, it sounds like you had friends and family that liked it. How did you then think of the idea that, hey, I want to sell this like on a larger scale?
Honestly, I did. I've been making that salsa probably since, oh goodness, almost 30 years.
I'm gonna have to taste it. I'm a big salsa fan too, salsa and chips.
Oh, good. Yeah, definitely. I love it. Sure. I would always make it, family and for the family and whatnot. And I had a cousin at one point that was like, you should sell this. And this was many, many years ago. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be a good idea, and it was just in one ear out the other. Yeah, that'd be cool. I should sell it. Then I would make it for work and stuff. And it just happened when I was working at Amex and working around a bunch of salespeople. They get that right away. They're like, oh, this tastes, oh, you could sell this. And so I had one friend, a dear friend still, that's my girl. She took it around the department and was like, here, taste this. how much would you pay for this? And that is really how it started. I started just selling it to people at work, and they were, asking, people would ask for it. And I didn't sell it for much. And when she said, how much would you pay for it? I sold it for like $4 less than what the person says. So it wasn't even like I had looked at,
it's like
what
a
I
little
really,
hobby. It wasn't something that you took seriously as like a business.
Absolutely. And so it just kind of went into that. And then another really good friend, I like sisters on my team, was like, that's the one who was telling me, she had run a business before, and she's like, let's look at the market. And we were going through what's the market out there, this and that. But fast forward, I had gotten out of selling it. It just was something, again, that I would make at home. And if somebody wanted to buy it outside of home, I would make it for them, or whatever the case may be. It just wasn't a advertised thing. And then I did at one point just post it out there. Oh, anybody wants salsa, I'm making it, so that was that. But what happened as far as starting to get it branded and all this, because I really hadn't thought about that much. Former coworker, right around the time that he also was at the same job, we had both left. Or had we left at that time? Or I was close to leaving. I think I was on my way out. We started talking, and there were three of us speaking about it. And he came up with the big idea, because I always thought on a smaller scale. But then he started talking about the branding, and he has helped a lot of people, get their businesses off the ground. So that's what kind of planted that seed. And we just rolled with it. Like, it was, he knew how to do the business plan and things like that. And he was getting, trying to get the financing and all that. So it was just a bug in my ear. So it went from a hobby to an idea to, he had connections, and we got great deals on, branding. And I've got all the stuff now. If I want to just go set up at a market, even though now I'm not doing it on the large scale, I can. But he was the one who went out and talked to the people at the restaurants, and, he was the voice like that. Again, I feel like I am the originator of the recipe, and I have ideas, but actually getting out there and talking to the businesses and saying, this is the best stuff. He was bragging about it. He was my voice. So it was a good partnership, and we had a lot of fun with it. And we came very close in more than one situation. Like I said, it was almost that large scale situation. But when I really sat and thought about, what does this mean? Woo! That was just a lot. But yeah, it was just rolled from a hobby. People love it, sell it, and now here we are. I still do sell it. It's just on a much, it's just kind of on a request basis. But then, getting into the financial services is where my focus is right now. It's just, I kind of haven't found the time, but yeah, that it was just roll with it, because it sounded like a hobby that could turn into something that's fun.
Yeah.
And get paid for it.
Well, the nice thing is like you said, you can always go back to it.
Yeah, it's on the back burner. It's not done. And I have had people ask me several times, like, when are you going to make some salsa? And I'm like, you know what? I am going to. I'm going to put it into my schedule and start doing it again. And on a smaller scale where I think I'd enjoy it more. And like I said, we've got little farmers markets here and there. And I have a friend, we've been talking about some collaborations and things like that. But yeah, it's not dead. It is something that, when they say, if you can, like you said, monetize your hobby or monetize something that you really enjoy doing, they say you'll never work a day in your life if you do something you love. I mean, it's still hard work, so you will work, but you'll enjoy it. So
yeah, and
hopefully,
yes, hopefully, because a lot of businesses start out, the person they're already working full time, and then they have an idea to do something else. So I want to wrap up with this, because I don't want to keep you for too long. I want to keep you coming back. A lot of people, I heard a statistic at one point, and I don't know if it's still accurate, because I heard this a few years ago, and I was just trying to Google it, and I didn't find it in time. But the statistic that I heard is the majority of people go bankrupt because they don't have like their ends aren't meeting by an amount of about $400.
Mm,
And I think that that is crazy. Like that's a car note, but well, a really cheap car. But that's a
right,
car note. Like 400, that's $100 a week.
right.
So, what I wanted to end with is how would someone start a business, or what type of business do you recommend someone start if they just need like that extra money to help them make ends meet, that extra $400 to $600 a month?
Like you said, like where would they get
Where
that
do they
from, or how,
start? Do they
where do you
start with a
start?
hobby? Because a lot of people who need to start a business, they're starting it because they need to make that extra income,
Mm,
and they're starting it almost like at a deficit. Like you had talked about, you had a lot of money to, well, I won't say you invested a lot of money into your business. What do
mhm.
people do if they don't have that startup capital? Like, how do you write? And that's one of the nice things with multi-level marketing, is that you can start at a fairly low amount, relatively speaking to you, like starting a franchise or, you know, some other type of major business. But with multi-level, you can start like under $1,000. But what do you recommend to people who need that? They're already kind of in a financial crunch. They need that extra $400 to $600.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. So for me, with that
Mm-hmm.
business, I was just I still had some money that was still coming in, and I spent
Mm-hmm.
a little here, a little there. We got great deals where, like the branding and
Mm-hmm.
the logo and all of that would normally cost a couple $1,000s, we got for
Mm-hmm.
500. Like,
Oh, that's
little,
good.
yeah, little deals like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have an investor. He was the guy who was or my partner who was helping me. He knows a lot of people who
Mm-hmm.
can invest, and I had actually a family member who invested into it a little bit too. So that's but I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying that that's how I did that. But to answer your question more pointedly, like when you're looking for something kind of to um like you said, network marketing or multi-level
Mm-hmm.
marketing is one way. If you're good at, building teams and following those systems, that's one way. Our business that we're in with financial services, the way in which we do it is very similar to that
Mm-hmm.
model, because we were talking about that
Mm-hmm.
too. It's a very low cost to get in and get your license. I mean, it's highly regulated, so it's not
Right.
the same as an MLM, but at the same time, it's a very low cost to get a very high potential reward if you're willing to work. But that when you're looking at something to do, I personally would say if you're starting a venture and you don't have a lot of capital, hopefully you have a job and you can,
Mm-hmm.
work your job. But I see and I look at the job as like training ground, like
Yeah.
I'm going to be here, I'm going to learn here, I'm going to become better, whatever this job is helping me to be as a person, and take that and the income that I'm making here to help fund what I need on the side to
Mm-hmm.
start to get that until that business starts to either match or exceed what I'm making at the business, in the job. So
Right.
that's an easy way to do it without the threat of going broke. But then there's people who really do, like, they'll, save. That's another way, save your money until you can invest in. If it takes a bigger investment, then you're
Mm-hmm.
saving it until you can invest in that, and then you go and do that. And it just depends on what you're selling, because you could even,
Yeah.
I know there's a girl at work who just mentioned that she does little bracelets, or what it is, and I said, you should get you in a little Etsy shop. It's a small
Mm-hmm.
investment, and she's making it, she's having fun, and um now she can do it online, and maybe your shop becomes bigger, or whatever the case may be. But I would say when it comes to things like that, it just depends on what you're looking for. Because depending on the business, you could also look at small business loans or
Yeah.
grants, or you know what I mean? Like those little things, if you can put your business plan together. It does take some steps to get there, but it just depends on what you're looking to do. If it's a little hobby thing, I'm like, get you a little Etsy shop. That was my thought. Not that I know everything, but that's what I would do.
No, that makes sense.
Like
There's
that.
people that can do very well on Etsy. I have this bracelet. It's from a young lady from my job. She
Yeah,
makes these. It says, it's like the little emblem on here. It says, I am enough. I mean, it's super cute.
exactly.
So yeah, that Etsy shop, that's an excellent idea for this and that. And one of the things that we can talk about, we'll save this for the next podcast. But talking about, do you want to sell a good or service? Because I'm all with you for what you were talking about with the inventory. Like I sold all my candy as a little girl. That was easy because kids love candy. I was probably my biggest number one customer. I wasn't like buying to myself, but I ate a lot of it myself.
Like me and my candles. I swear I burned more of my own candles than I actually sold, but I love candles. I would do it again.
Yeah. So when you're selling a product, like you are, a lot of times you're going to be your number one customer. But you can't end up getting stuck with a lot of the inventory. And so I'm all for, unless you are doing things where you're making the bracelets or you're selling things, a product that you really, really like. I'm all for offering consulting services because it's so much. You don't have to carry around that inventory. You don't have to make that huge initial investment. So at that point, when you decide you want to become like a coach or a consultant, you just have to decide what field are you the expert in, and you can pull in your education and, your prior sales experience or your experience, etc. But to me, that seems like a better, it just, in my opinion, this is just me speaking, I feel like that's a better route because you don't get stuck with all the overhead. You're not having to find a place to put all your inventory. You're not competing with all of these 100+ businesses selling salsa. You're your own brand when it comes to consulting, and there's just very little overhead.
No, I agree with that 100%. It's, if that's what your drive is, not everybody is in that lane, but it's more what is it that motivates you? And if that's it, then I agree with you 100%. I'd rather be able to sell something. I mean, and to that point, a service, you can record things and that becomes what you sell. And it's a basically an asset that you do once or write a book or, all of these things. It's just a matter of what you are feeling that your passion is or what you can, or the problem that you can solve. That's the big thing, is what problem can you solve for people that you can continue to do that you can monetize. So it does take, like you said, I mean, you kind of look at who's done it, what does it take to do it, what would you do or what would you not do. But I agree with you 100%. The overhead, like even after having done it, the product itself, having to have that product and
on hand,
containers and all that, all those things. Not that I would not, like I said, I will continue to do it on a small scale, but we even had a website where we did determine how we could get it shipped out because it's fresh salsa. It's not one that's got all right. So we had even done that, but it was a lot of trial and error. But if I can get online, I've thought about it, and I might, teach you how to sell salsa or sell my recipe or whatever the case may be. I've thought about those things, but not quite where I want to do. But like you said, if you not quite where I am in the whole business plan and how I can do that, but it's been a thought. So I'm right there with you. If it's something that you can just get online and or offer like a consulting and whatever it is that you're consulting in, like you said, you've got education and you've got your MLM background and the, what was it, farmers as well, right? So
farmers, and then I was a Keller Williams agent for 5 years and farmers, so 5.5 years.
Got a lot that you can consult in, like maybe you're a life coach by the time all the things that you've been through. I mean, so
business and transformational coach. Actually, I'm working on that right now. The branding right now.
Okay, there we go.
So we'll chat more. I have gone way over on my time because we always talk in the green, my quote unquote green room, much like we have to talk on the podcast. Usually about something totally unrelated, but it's been such a pleasure getting to know you through Angie. And I will see you in 2 weeks. I hope you get plenty of rest tonight. I know I'm happy to hear your team's doing well. And that's probably what we'll pick up next time is, I'll think it out because I have to have 2 weeks to think about it. But the difference between selling a good and a service, and then we can start there more than likely. We'll see.
Yeah. Sounds good. Hey, the one thing we definitely have proven, we can talk.
Yes.
Maybe we start the camera
introverts getting together and we're talking away.
I know. And it's like, wait, it's already okay. Maybe we should turn on the camera, right?
Yeah. We got to get started.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much, Kim, for taking the call. And I love the background. You making me want to go to some beach somewhere.
Listen, yes, the one thing that when you talk about, starting a business or being in a business, my team is growing and they're keeping me kind of busy. So I figure I can't go to the beach right now because I'm doing a lot of training and so forth. So I can put it, if I can see it, it will come eventually. But right now, here I am.
Yeah. With what you're saying, like you're in growth mode, you don't really have time to be making salsa right now, too. So that a lot to do with it. But I love the concept. We're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do with the salsa because I feel like if that's an idea that God gave you, don't just want to leave it just out, dormant. We got to do something with it.
I agree. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But
we'll have to brainstorm.
I'm definitely not going to let it go to the wayside completely. You're right. That would be sinful.
Especially since you still have the brand and you still got some of the stuff. So we got to figure out. I mean, I'm sure if you wanted to at this point, you could sell it. You could sell the recipe and whatever inventory you still have left.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I still, I still will print the labels. And so it's not really, like I said, it's fresh salsa. So I don't hold inventory. The inventory is here, and I should say the inventory is here. But, it's like I just have to make it. And now I've kind of learned how to not over produce and, gauge a little bit more but more on a smaller scale. And I think I enjoy watching someone taste it for the first time because I will say there is nothing in this world that hits for everybody. But I've been so blessed that I think I can count on one hand the number of people who've tried it and said, it's okay. I really honestly, I don't think I've had anybody say that. So if they felt that, they didn't tell me, but I've just heard, I've gotten a lot of raving comments about it. I try to be very humble about it, but I know my salsa is really good because people tell me that. So
that's good.
I love to see people smile and enjoy it. And I have different levels of heat, but the funny part is it all tastes the same. It's different levels, the flavors the same. So anyway, I know we could talk about this all night. Like now you got me excited again.
Yeah, you got my wheels turning now. I'm trying to figure out what you're gonna do with this salsa. Every time we talk, I'm finding more stuff out about you because before I thought you were only doing like the financial services and advising. So this is really interesting.
Well, I learned more about you too. So, we are very well-rounded individuals. We're not in a box. Can't hold us down.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Well, we will chat again in a couple of weeks, Kim, and I'm gonna have to brainstorm some ideas about the salsa. We'll have to figure out something about that.
Yes,
I'll give you some suggestions.
Hey, I'll take it. That's how we learn. I'm always open to new ideas. So.
All right. Well, until next time, have a blessed couple of weeks and God continue to bless and prosper your business.
Amen. Thank you. And the same to you, my dear. Thank you for having me once again. Can't wait till next time.
No problem, Kim. Okay. See you soon.
All righty. Have a good night.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.